and the scream.
Coast to coast.
Jimmy's on that microphone.
Just like the Lord intended.
Saying what you're afraid to say.
Truth that can be amended.
Hey!
Unleashed. Unfiltered. Unfazed. Unafraid. Streamcast. Attacks every way.
From
the house of Lakey. The Lakey Towers proclaim.
This is the day the Lord has made. The show starts now in Jesus' name.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there we are, my friends, the Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir. Glad to have them here joining us this morning. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled. They want to sing again, but we're not going to let them. Tuesday, the 17th day of March, year of our Lord, 2017. I'm not wearing a green shirt. I intended to get a green shirt out of the closet this morning, but I'm colorblind and I grabbed a gray one. This is gray, I promise, and the green one was right next to it, but I was distracted. Anyway, so I apologize. I don't have green on. Don't come pinch me, Delilah. I don't like that at all. Is pinching still a thing? As a kid on St. Patrick's Day, if you did not wear green, you got pinched. And occasionally, I remember the elementary school, the teacher would hand out little green stickers so that every kid had a green sticker, and therefore we did not have any justification for pinching. I'm guessing pinching a classmate in a school campus today would probably lead to suspension, flogging, or the death penalty. I'm guessing it's kind of like making a toy gun with your finger. You can't do that, pow, pow, pow. So I don't know. No, I don't think my son, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember back. He always wore green. It was kind of a big festive thing. He knew to wear green on St. Patrick's Day. Anyway, may the luck of the Irish be yours today. Happy St. Patrick's Day across America. And it's just another excuse for Americans to drink. This time we want to drink green beer. St. Patrick's Day is a lot like Cinco de Mayo. There's not much purpose to it other than drinking. And cabbage, you get some cabbage and corned beef today. I mean, a good day to all of you. Glad to have you here. Jimmy is my name. Pleasured, pleased, thrilled. And wear your green so that you don't get pinched. When's the last time you got pinched for not wearing green? You know, I remember as a kid, you pinched people, and sometimes as a middle schooler or a high schooler, you thought that would be a good idea to pinch someone, a beautiful girl or something, and say, you're not wearing green. And she say, yes, I am. I say, oh, let me see it again. Yes, you are. Sorry, I take that pinch back. And taking a pinch back is also a great strategy to get another pinch in. I just want to let you know. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day. Trump is waiting to announce the USA Hormuz coalition. We'll find out exactly. That's one of the stories coming up on the program. Who's going to be in there? And does this tell you something about our allies in Europe, the North American Treaty Organization allies that are very, very hesitant to do anything to participate? They want to bellyache about the price of oil, but they would like to, if they could, not participate, not use their navy to secure the Strait of Hormuz. So looks like the Japanese, the Australians are out, but we shouldn't be surprised by that. So we're still waiting on the announcement of what that's going to look like. But President Trump says it's going to end very, very soon, and it's all going to work out okay. So anybody still confident? Anybody panicked out there? I know there's some people on our side, the American right, that would be considered part of the MAGA movement that had been very bothered, very Twitter-pated by this military action in Iran, saying it's not America first. And I could really want to agree with you, but on this one I have to disagree with you because America has been kicked around for 47 years by these religious radicals, this death cult that they have in Iran. And for 47 years, people have died. And for the first time in 47 years, we're standing up for the blood of Americans lost by these death cult members in Iran. And we're saying no more. America is first, and you're not going to treat us like that anymore. So I think it's very much in line with President Trump's vision. I'm not as Twitter-pated as someone like Megyn Kelly. I know Tucker Carlson. I think Steve Bannon. Some of the podcasters out there. I'm not as Twitter-pated as they are. I understand some of the perspective of, hey, what about foreign entanglements? But listen, I think you got to give Trump the benefit of the doubt that he's not into long-time military entanglements, foreign entanglements. But again, 47 years we've been being poked in the eye, poked in the face, poked in the wherever. And Donald Trump says we're tired of being poked like this. Anybody remember the Kenny Rogers great classic country song, "The Coward of the County"? you promised Daddy you wouldn't throw a fist because Daddy ended up in prison. I was only 8 or 10 years old when Daddy went to prison. It's a great song, "Coward of the County" by Kenny Rogers. I kind of view like this is the Gatlin Boys came calling. And there was not a Gatlin boy left standing when he left that barn in the song "Coward of the County." And that's kind of what I feel this is. We have been cowardly in dealing with Iran. We have tried to be overly compensating for that. And I just think to hell with it. We're tired of this. And if you put the characters differently, make a music video of "The Coward of the County" by the late, great Kenny Rogers. And I think that's what I see this Iranian excursion to be. It's finally sometimes you got to fight when you're a man. That's the song. It's a great song, Delilah. You should listen to it. You know it. Okay, good. There's one reference of actually getting something right when it comes to a classic American song, "Coward of the County" by Kenny Rogers. But that's how I view it. So when you hear these pundits talking about how bad it is, just remember, sometimes you got to fight when you're a man, and sometimes you got to stand up to the death cult that screams death to America, kills Marines, blows up barracks, blows up the USS Cole, and all their. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. Stop it. We're not going to have this anymore, and we're not going to tolerate that. By the way, speaking of Iran, another one bites the dust. Speaking of a song reference, cue the song. Although we don't have the copyright, so we can't play it, but you can sing it. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. The Israelis, they have announced that they have killed a couple of more bigwigs. They're in the death cult in Iran. Iran's Supreme National Security Council leader, let's get this name right, Ali Larahani, and Bazil Commander, who's one of the secret police, Gholamesa Soleimani, have both been killed, according to the Israeli Defense Forces and Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz. According to a statement, Katz said, "I have been updated by the Chief of Staff, the Lazarani, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, and the head of the Bazil, Iran's Central Repression Apparatus." They're the ones that killed about 30,000 people in the last couple of months. Soleimani were eliminated last night and have joined Khamenei and the head of the annihilation program, along with all those eliminated from the axis of evil in the depths of hell. The news comes after 2 weeks since the war was launched with President Trump and America. They say that they talk about the evilness of these people and said they have joined them to the depths of hell. There's also a rumor out there. The Iran foreign minister, I think, who's in the United Nations or holed up in some hellhole, probably at the United Nations, maybe in Brussels, I'm not sure. He denies it, but the White House says, yeah, they're starting to send text messages to us and saying we're ready to talk. The key is, I think no one really has an understanding, maybe somewhere in the deep bowels of this CIA, no one knows who's sending the text messages. No one knows who's going to, no one knows exactly who it is that's going to, who's sending the text messages. Not really going to, no one knows. No one knows exactly what's happening there, but it's fascinating to watch. President Trump says it's all over soon. I see it as an America First project. I'm not bent out of shape like some of the other podcast platforms are, but you tell me, what are your thoughts on this? Yesterday was the day after the Oscars, and I didn't give a dang comment about it on purpose. I didn't want to have to comment on the Oscars. I think the Oscars are a bunch of self-aggrandizing, narcissistic actors and Hollywood types that think that we give a rat's patootie about what they have to say about opinion. However, I did see one of the jokes in which the name of our buddy Kid Rock was mentioned. And ladies and gentlemen, when they mentioned the old Kid Rock said, "Screw you, I'm fighting back." And so now I'm going to mention the Oscars. And let me just kind of give you the details of what happened if you missed it, because I would guess out of the audience that we have, thousands of earballs will hear the show. I'm guessing if there's a handful of you that watch the Oscars, especially front to back, I'm not talking highlights on the news, I'm probably actually sat down and watched the Oscars. I am guessing that would be very, very few, a handful of you actually watched it. Well, singer Kid Rock responded, though, to something that was said by Conan O'Brien at the 98th Academy Awards, also known as the Oscars. Conan O'Brien, who thinks he's funny, and I don't think anybody else does, said, "I should warn you, tonight could get political, okay? And if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock. It's at the Dave & Buster's down the street. A lot of tickets for that." That's his joke, making fun of the Turning Point USA alternative halftime show, which was headlined by Kid Rock. So the singer himself responded to the Conan O'Brien jab, writing on X that it was not a very good joke, which is true, and promoting his Freedom 250 alternative tour as an alternative. Kid Rock says, I have a good joke even when I'm the butt of it. I love a good joke even when I'm the butt of it. Unfortunately, that was not a very good joke. Either way, if you see a real good show during spring, summer that celebrates America and 250 years of freedom, make sure you get your tickets from Ticketmaster for my Freedom 250, The Road to Nashville. There's a reason for this, trust me. So Kid Rock just basically plays it off with kindness and says, I love a good joke, especially when I'm the butt of it. That's not a very good one, Conan. That was not a good joke at all. There was just, I saw one more joke that Conan said, and these guys have lost their grip on reality, lost their grip on comedy. They should all be canceled, not because of political views, but because they're just really, really bad. They're not funny at all. And it's the only people applauding them are people in their own political circle. It has nothing to do with widespread reach to America. If you think of comedy in America, what hijacks your YouTube or your Instagram feed or whatever, it's guys like comedian Matt Rife. It's guys like Nate Bargatze. These are the people that are the funny people in America. Conan O'Brien, Fallon, Kimmel, all these guys represent days gone by, days of yesteryear, in which the networks could decide who was going to be funny. But all these other new comedians that have risen up out there, and I'm missing some of the names, Bargatze and Rife come to mind immediately, they weren't propped up by the network. They were not built by the network. And if Conan O'Brien gets canceled, if Fallon, if Kimmel, if all these guys gets canceled tomorrow from their late night shows, they're going to be playing in coffee shops while people order lattes, telling a few jokes to lesbians driving Subarus that hate Donald Trump. That's who their audience has been minimized to. Unlike Matt Rife, who can fill up the Red Rocks amphitheater, Nate Bargatze, who gets his own television specials, writes his own contracts. And so when you watch what's his name, Conan, and when you watch all these guys, just remember they are the days of comedy gone by. They are the bastardized children of an era that used to be funny in network television of David Letterman and Johnny Carson. And they have gone crazy. They have... They're like spoiled children. It's like you have a great fine family and they do good in the first generation, but by the time you get the second or third generation, they're just a bunch of petulant punks, spoiled brats who don't deserve to wear the name that their forefathers wore. And these guys are not qualified to wear the name of late night talk show hosts because they're absolute jackwagons. And so the Conan O'Brien joke was not funny. The other one he made that I thought was not funny is that it's not even based in reality. He said, yeah, they're going to be very upset that Melania didn't get an Oscar. The Orange Man's going to be really upset. Well, first of all, I don't think they care. Second of all, they'd probably like one, but it's not. But she wouldn't be eligible. The movie didn't come out till 2026, and so you have to wait till next year. Melania was never going to be eligible for an Academy Award this year because the movie was not released within the deadline. But the truth be damned, it's Conan O'Brien and his Trump derangement syndrome. And again, these guys are, again, picture the third generation of people, whether you're a Rockefeller or a Kennedy, or you picture one of the big names in politics or in culture or fame and fortune and finance. And then you got 2 or 3, 4 generations down. You're like, yeah, the great kid ain't near what his grandpappy was. And that's what you're seeing with that. But good for Kid Rock. Kid Rock just kind of blew it off and said, screw it, I don't have to play this game. TDS, that's part of what these guys have. TDS in America and Defeat. Anybody see that the USA Paralympic team? These are the guys that don't skate normally. They have little sleds they go around. They play hockey. And the Paralympics are going on right now. And they've been going on. And once again, the American hockey team, the Paralympic men's team, actually defeated again the Canadians. Canadians having a bad run here against the United States and superior athletes. Not only do we have superior lots of stuff, we have superior hockey programs as well. So congratulations to the Paralympics teams. And we appreciate them. And God bless America. The men's team won, the women's team won, and now I almost said I was going to say almost said I don't know what you're supposed to say to her. Disabled, the Paralympians, the Paralympics, What those guys won, and congratulations for them for once again kicking some Canadian butt. And we bless you, and God bless America. Now I want to talk about America's greatness and athleticism, and how it has been just another example of how you can expose the Trump derangement syndrome. Watch the Academy Awards there. You watch this bastardized generational pass down of late night television. Conan O'Brien's not funny. He's making jokes. I mean, even the people that should be defending their honor are going, that joke's really not even funny, and it didn't get enough eyeballs to even generate attention. No one gives a rat's patootie about what you say. Well, these winning of these athletes, the hockey team, especially the American men's team, and maybe now the Paralympic team, has really driving the left nuts. And these people are so enraged with Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS, that they just cannot handle America winning. They would love it if Joe Biden or somebody else were president, but because of Donald Trump being the president, they cannot cheer or root for the U.S. military. They can't cheer or root for the hockey team. Every time you turn around, they have some hate-filled montage or hate-filled diatribe about America and sports, and they're just not cheering for us. I don't know if you've been following this, a World Series champion. His name is Doug Miankiewicz. I can't say the name. There's too many consonants in. He took issue with coverage that was surrounding Team USA's narrow victory over the Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic on Monday. If you're a baseball fan, you know that the World Baseball Classic has been going on, and the U.S. closed the door on the Dominican Republic in the ninth inning when Geraldo Perdomo struck out looking. The 3 strikes call came as it appeared the ball was out of the zone and below Perdomo's knees. Perdomo was in shock, and the Dominican players were all unhappy with the call. As one famed New York broadcaster said, "That's baseball, Susan." Mianski, who won the World Series with the Boston Red Sox, suggested on social media that he wished the coverage would have been more centered on the U.S. winning the game than the Dominican Republic losing the game. This former baseball broadcaster said, "Hey, listen, why are the media types of that's just baseball? Look at that call. It came to this. Why aren't you celebrating that however it happened, the Americans won?" Here's what Mianski wrote on his Twitter feed. He said, "It's a sad day when people who were born here," and let me read this. This is a great quote. "When people were born here and make a living in this country actually make excuses for a team losing and hoping the USA doesn't win. You can cover the games without bias. It was a great game, showcasing the best talent in the world. It had everything. It had mistakes and everything in between. And this is what makes baseball the greatest game in the world." To add that I was fortunate to coach a lot of the players representing their countries from all over the world. I wanted all of them to be successful. Good men who play the game with passion and genuine love for the game. That being said, finish this thing. And so Perdomo and Juan Soto were among the Dominican players frustrated with the ball. But the former announcer says, "Listen, they work hard. Baseball has hard breaks, but rather than focusing on how they lost to this call or whatever, celebrate that the Americans won. The Americans did very good, and they won, and on to victory they go." Now, speaking of baseball, and by the way, that's true. It is amazing how so many reporters and or politicians that maybe even born in third world cesspools of countries like Somalia can come here like Elon Omar and be so critical of this country. If this country is so nasty and so horrible, why don't you get your ass back to that hellhole of a country that you came from? Why would you stay in this cesspool? Why are thousands or millions of people every year trying to come to our country legally and illegally? And they would love to be here if it's as bad of a country as what these people say. These people are just deranged first of all, they're deranged in hatred of America, but really that hatred of Donald Trump. And so even when American athletes, whether it's hockey athletes, Paralympic athletes, whether it's women or men, whether it's a baseball, hot dog, apple pies, or Chevrolet, they are so deranged by Trump that they'd like to see America defeated. And they would really like to see this Iranian operation blow up so that they could say, "Look, I told you so. Donald Trump has no clue what he's doing." It's not a good look on them. And I hope that America sees that every time America starts to feel good and you say, "Hey, we beat the Dominican Republic, we're going to continue to go forward in this world classic of baseball and march forward and bring home a gold medal or a trophy to America." Oh man, they can't cheer for America. They cannot cheer for America And when you get to the point that you can't cheer for America because you're so blinded for hatred by the guy that's in the Oval Office, then you truly have lost a grip on reality, and you have ceased to be a patriot, and you have become a propagandized fool. Now, speaking of baseball, this has led Donald Trump to once again want a 51st state. It ain't Canada this time. No, we're not taking Greenland, and not even Puerto Rico. You're out. I mean, you gave us Bad Bunny. Screw you. You're never going to be a 51st state. You'll be relegated to a position of territory forever because you gave us Bad Bunny. That's how bad it is. Cuba, people talk about Cuba being the 51st state. Well, President Trump's got another idea. You didn't like Cuba. You didn't like Greenland. You didn't like Canada. We definitely don't like Puerto Rico. President Trump used Venezuela's win in the World Baseball Classic on Monday to tease a big idea. He says maybe a potential statehood for the Latin American country. He put this up, I guess, on Truth Social. Wow. Venezuela defeated Italy tonight 4-1 in the World Baseball Classic. Baseball. Semifinal. Trump writes on social media, Truth Social, they are looking great. Good things are happening to Venezuela's lately. He added on his Truth Social post, I wonder what the magic is all about. Statehood, number 51, anyone? Apoplectic heads explode. Oh, my God, he's trying to annex the world. He's having fun, you jackwagons. You just don't understand what fun is because you don't have fun because you have Trump derangement syndrome. But Donald Trump celebrated Venezuela's sudden cooperation with the United States after years of hostility, change prompted by the decision that he sent with a daring military operation arresting Nicolas Maduro. And so last night, as the Venezuelan baseball team defeated Italy, he tweeted out, good things are happening to Venezuela. I wonder what this magic is all about. Statehood, number 51, anyone? And I think that's the great humor of Donald Trump. He realizes that a lot of folks just have apoplectic hatred of Donald Trump. And he doesn't care. They get upset. He joked about Canada being a 51st state, upset about Greenland, upset about Puerto Rico, upset about Cuba. Donald Trump doesn't care. He doubles down on Trump derangement syndrome and says, screw you. Hey, Venezuela, want to be the 51st state? But that upsets people when you talk like that. That sounds like you're trying to build an empire. Shut up. Hey, Venezuela, you want to be the 51st state? That's how Donald Trump operates, and that's why I like him, and that's why other people absolutely hate him. All right, I've got a question for you. This could be the question of the day. We don't have an official one here, but I've been thinking, not immediately, not now, but I've been thinking, if I ever bought another car, what would the car be? Now, that's not the question. Don't tell me that. And one of my buddies is driving a new... Was a Hummer? I think it's a Hummer, a new Hummer, and it has a lot of automated driving in it. And he can kind of program it, and it drives him. And he says it's really great. You're a little tired at home or after the work, and you just want to kind of sit back and relax. It's really reliable in driving. I've got a friend who has a second or third place in Arizona, and sometimes in the Scottsdale area, he will catch, I think they're called Waymos. It's a driverless car, and it's like an Uber, but you get in it, and it takes you. There's no driver in there. Now, I have seen some YouTube videos of these driverless cars going crazy, and a guy calling 911 saying, I'm in a driverless car, and we're going in circles around the parking lot. Help me. I need out of this thing. So there can be a moment of fear. So I guess kind of a two-tiered thought as I read this story. I was thinking, as I kind of hear the glories of people that I know that have Teslas and people that have this new Hummer, and say the automated driving, the autonomous driving is actually something that's more exciting than you think. And they really like it. They enjoy it. They say, I didn't think I'd like it. I like to drive, like to put my pedal to the metal and go for it. But, this is kind of nice. Autonomous driving is especially sit in traffic, stop and go, kind of just sit and relax and let the car handle some of the hassle. So I get it. So I'm starting to think maybe one day, will I ever drive an autonomous car? I could see it happening. Now, I drive cars till the wheels fall off or they blow up or something like that. And that's happened a lot the last couple of years. I've been through more cars in the last year and a half, 2 years, probably that I've been through up most of my adult life. I mean, I'll drive cars. People know, producer Chad knows me a long time. I'll drive cars till there's 350,000 miles. I don't swap out a car. I'm not a leaser. I'm a driver, and I drive that thing. My dear German car, the Porsche, it 350, unprecedented. I should give me a sponsorship for driving that thing so long. So I love that. I just drive a long time. But I'm thinking an autonomous car could be in my future. And then I read this story and see this video, and I have a question for you. Are you open to autonomous driving? Have you experienced it? Have any of you done the taxis in certain countries that are certain states that are autonomous. And does this make you giggle? Does this make you happy? Here's the story before we go to Laura Carno for Carno Tuesday. Headline: Fox News video shows Cybertruck nearly drive a mom and a baby off an overpass. And so Justine St. Amour is the mom's name, and she's now suing Tesla $1 million for the dramatic crash. And so Elon Musk better get his cash. A Houston woman, Houston, Texas, by the way, sued Tesla last month after she says her Cybertruck, allegedly operating in a self-driving mode, was captured on camera, nearly sending her and her infant off a bridge, ultimately crashing into an overpass barrier. The woman, who claims she suffered multiple injuries in August of 2025, is suing Tesla for $1 million in liability and negligence in the case. On August the 18th, 2025, our client Justine St. Amour was driving her Tesla Cybertruck on the Houston 69 East Tex freeway, and autopilot engaged. Something terrifying happened. Without warning, the vehicle attempted to drive straight off an overpass. In the dash cam video incident, the driver was seen in the Cybertruck that was expected to follow a right curve at a Y-shaped overpass. The car then appeared to barely turn, continued straight ahead, violently crashing into a concrete barrier on the overpass. After it ricocheted from the impact, parts of the vehicle were seen flying off. The attorney for the driver, or non-driver, added that just before the crash, she disengaged the driver assistance feature and tried to take control of the wheel. However, the car was already too far in motion for any intervention to be effective, according to the law firm. She tried to take control but crashed into the barrier and was seriously injured, mostly her shoulder, her neck, and her back. And she's suing them. So with that said in mind, any of you drive the autonomous cars? Have you had any issue? And would you ever want to? I've been thinking about the autonomous car. And now I read this story and I go, maybe I would not do that. I would not do that. Scott pops in on the Rumble, says, would never. Would never drive one of those cars. That's what he said. Would you drive an autonomous car? Well, yeah. Jeff says the woman should have stuck with a Subaru. I don't know if she's a lesbian. I don't think she was. She had a baby. I'm guessing it was that two women don't make that. I know. It's tough to believe. That's crazy science, but it is true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, no further ado. It is a pleasure to be here with you, and I know you're going to be even more excited in this moment in time in which we welcome to the stage momentarily Laura Carno. Ladies and gentlemen, make way for Laura, please.
DC trenches to that Colorado dome of dummies. She defends your right to keep. From DC trenches to that Colorado dome of dummies. She defends your right to keep and bear, and she does not miss. Smartest woman in Colorado, keeps kids safe in school with fastercolorado.org. Sure, she's a cat lady, grows mean tomatoes, but don't mess with her. She's back in here. Locked and loaded with Laura Carno. Locked and loaded. Truth on target. Every time. Target every time. She's locked and loaded. Yeah. Laura Carno. She's locked and loaded. Here's Laura.
Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please walk her to the stage, locked and loaded, Laura Carno. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I will never get tired of that song.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you love hearing your name. I understand. I understand the feeling of it. For years, I've had choirs sing my name. I'm almost starting to expect it when I walk into a room. I'm almost there. Like, excuse me, I have arrived. Who's singing? Have you ever done that?
No. I mean, are you expecting like "Hail to the Chief" or?
That would work. We could go. We could start there. We could start there. I'd be fine with it. So please, if you're listening to me, when I walk into a room, I sometimes wonder where the songs are at. I'm telling you, I don't know. Is that narcissistic at all? You think? Maybe not.
No, you could just, sort of like cartoon characters. You could just have them in your own head.
There's a lot of stuff in my own head, Laura, but most of that requires therapy. Most of
I'm with you.
Therapy, yeah. Laura Cardinal, good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I see you're wearing the green. When's the last time you got pinched?
There you go, Jimmy. Okay, so this
is a legitimate question. I said earlier, I don't think we pinched anybody since elementary school.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so first of all, this is, I don't know, like a dark teal or something. I was looking through my closet. I don't have any like green, like a Kelly green or a forest green or I don't have any of that. I don't know why.
That's green to me. See, you start naming like Kelly green, forest green. I'm like, listen, it's green. That's all that matters. It's green because, it's like, is that lilac or is that blue? No, just shut up. It's blue. I mean, I don't have 64 crayons in my box. I've got like 12 and it's the basic stuff, maybe even 4 colors.
Well, if you repaint a house, then you'll figure out there's 83 different words for the color white for different paint colors.
Let's see, cracker, honky, what? Is that
Jimmy? No. So back to your pinching question.
Yes.
So
okay.
yes, I remember back in grammar school where if you weren't wearing green, like you, we would get the sticker because the teachers didn't want any funny business going on. But I don't know if it was junior high or high school or something. It just became very clear to people they should not do that.
We never got the memo. Well, we probably did by high school,
but they shouldn't pinch me.
Oh, they shouldn't pinch you. You were locked and loaded. That's why with Laura Cardinal.
It was pre-locked and loaded, but I don't know. Maybe I have the
you gave
attitude.
off the vibes. Gave off the vibes.
Yeah, like you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with
and
her.
It's over.
Believe me, she'll either pinch you or throw a tomato at you. Either one. Don't throw a cat. Though. That's not good. All right, Laura Cardinal.
I wouldn't throw either.
Okay.
I would not throw either.
I got to put some green on today because I know I may see producer Chad. He does get handsy at times, and so I gotta put he's got the pinchers out. I have green, and I know green. By the way, people make fun of Jimmy. That's blue. No, that's green. This morning I was watching Early. I think his name is Stuart Varney, who hosts on the Fox Business. I was scrolling through there, and people were arguing with his tie. He thought it was green, and people say no, it's blue. And one of the ladies came on and said, no, it could go either way. It's blue-green. So I kind of live in that blue-green world, and some people try to gaslight me and tell me that's blue, and they're full of the devil, and they're just trying to mess with my head. Yeah,
sure, naturally.
All right.
Yeah.
Naturally. All right. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And no green beer for me today. No Jameson, except Chad Jameson, our producer. That's the only JMO I'm going to have today. Not in a bad way, but yeah. So that's his last name. He's not named from the Irish, though. He's Italian. He's an Italian JMO. That's weird, isn't it? Italians?
Chad's Italian? How did I not know that?
I don't know how you know, so many things you don't know. You guys talk all the time. He's your people. Yeah. That may be why you guys chit chat a lot and mouth off. Yeah, he's an Italian guy. Yeah, I'm a white guy. Well, I actually have Irish history as well, Irish and Scottish, but I prefer to be called Cracker, just because.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
All right, let's dive in. We got to get to topics, Laura. We got to get to serious topics here. People depend on us to seriously discuss the news here on the Lakey Unleashed Streamcast podcast and broadcast. Laura, I have to ask you this question. We got a lot of stuff going on down in the Cuba, and Cuba is some people think about to crash and burn in a blaze of glory. Give me your thoughts on the old Cuba. Is the communist government about to fail once and for all? Cuba going to become our 51st state? What say you?
So we talked about this last week. I want Cuba to be a territory, 51st state. I want Cubans who immigrated here who want to go back to be able to go back and build up a beautiful capitalist country with the communists gone. That's what I wish for them. So because we talked about it last week, I looked up some updates. So the CIA is kind of meh on it. They're saying, it might happen, it might not. They may or may not fall. So I look at Polymarket because I like to see what people are betting on, because that's always interesting. So Polymarket says that only 30% of people are betting that Cuba will, quote unquote, fall. in 2026. So not a big better, but if I was a better, I might go put a couple bucks on Cuba falling.
Yeah, because President Trump thinks it's going to fall. He says it's going to happen very soon. He's talking about it could go one way or the other, but it's going to fall. So if you could you could maybe get some pretty good odds on it falling if you want to go and place a bet.
I think so. And there's maybe like 45-second video out from Trump. Somebody asked him about it in the Oval Office, and he said, "Yeah, I could take Trump, or I'd take Cuba, pardon me." And the reporter said, "What do you mean take Cuba?" And he said, "Well, free them or take them, or at this point, I could pretty much do anything." It was sort of like I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. It was that sort of thing, which always reminds me that we should take President Trump seriously and not literally, because he's President Trump. So.
Yeah. Scott has a good point. Cuba's a state. Donald Trump is a resort and a casino. He's not much of the casino business down in Vegas, just resorts. After he leaves office, we'll have Gaza, the Trump Gaza. That's a new territory where the Trump Tower is going to go in, and Cuba, oceanfront property. Both of those could be. It is interesting because I think it seems like it's more obvious to me that something's going to happen in Cuba. I mean, Cuba right now is totally without electricity. They have a whole blackout on the island right now. So it seems like it's obvious something's going to happen. So I'm actually surprised that the poly market's going, nothing's going to happen here. It seems like it's inevitable.
That's what I thought. I thought it would be at least over 50%. So, who knows?
All right, you and I have mutual friends that are sheriffs. Sheriff Steve Reams, we talk about oftentimes in front of his face, nothing behind his back, because he is a sheriff and he's a great guy. But there's a Las Vegas sheriff. I call it Steve Reams of Weld County, where I live, America's favorite sheriff. But hey, we may have a new favorite, Steve. Las Vegas sheriff is refusing to release violent offenders. Says, no, you're violent. You're staying in this jail. You're dangerous to the streets of society. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. I'm guessing he's going to have to let the prisoners out.
Yeah, and so we see this all over the country. We see it here in Colorado, where these people get arrested. They're arrested 10, 20, 30 times. They're violent. Sometimes they're even convicted and out of prison, and they keep getting released. And then what happens? They kill more people. They rape people. They do all kinds of terrible things. So the sheriff in Las Vegas, he was ordered by a judge to release this guy who had been arrested 35 times. And the sheriff said, no, he's a violent offender. My job, as we see with Steve Reams or other great sheriffs here in Colorado, my job is to keep people in my area safe. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm letting this 35-time offender out is not going to keep people safe. So no, I'm not going to let him out. And so to your point, this is going to the Nevada Supreme Court. And I think it's very interesting, and it could be some kind of precedent for things going on in other states or, other parts of Nevada for sure. But where is that line between a judge who says you got to let the violent offender out and an elected representative of the people in a sheriff saying, no, my job is to keep people safe. This guy's staying in jail. I think it's going to be interesting. I get obsessed with certain stories. I'll follow this one. I think it's an interesting one.
It will be interesting to see. Keep him on lockdown, and the judge says, you got to let him out. And he says, screw you, I'm not going to do it. So going to the Supreme Court. I mentioned earlier, I was doing song references, Coward of the County, Kenny Rogers. That's how I view this Iran thing.
I love that. I love that song, by the way. I know all the words.
And I do too. A lot of Kenny Rogers old stuff. The Gambler, She Believes in Me. Same. I can sing along karaoke. Let's go. I'm on it. I'll kick your butt in karaoke delight. I'm telling you, old Kenny Rogers stuff I can do. All right. But then I used the reference of another one bites the dust, talking about the mullahs, the ayatollahs in Iran, and how ADF has picked off a couple, 2 or 3 more, and dozens and dozens have gone. I've got a question. Who's going down quicker, billionaires leaving California or ayatollahs getting their asses killed in Iran? I mean, it's a close race to the top of the number on which number is higher, billionaires leaving California or ayatollahs getting killed, potential ayatollahs getting killed in Iran. Right.
And the difference is the ayatollahs didn't see it coming. The billionaires needed to come up with a plan to leave. And, that's exactly the point, is that people who are wealthy have choices. They can pick up their house, their family, their business, their whatever, and move it to a friendlier state. What's sad is the people in California who don't have the means to do that, and they're kind of stuck because they've got this job that pays them enough to get by and pay their bills and that kind of thing. They don't have the excess cash to go find another job, go to another state and stuff like that. So, and I got family in California, and I go visit, and it's just different. It's just different there. But yeah, Gavin Newsom, this is what do they call it? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you say to billionaires, we're going to confiscate a percentage of your wealth, not your income, your wealth, what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to leave. So
I even said the former CEO of Starbucks, all these guys, even the whole Pacific Northwest, they're all heading to Florida, Texas, and saying, no, you're not getting taxes on this stuff. This is ridiculous. So, these guys voted for it. Hopefully these people exiling out of the states, becoming expats of California, won't go to their new states and continue the same stupidity because it's their algorithms on social media. It's their media centers and their power that a lot of times put out the lies that these Democrats and these policies were going to work. So hopefully maybe people like Zuckerberg are waking up to realize, yeah, that was bad policy. Maybe they wake up, maybe they don't.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't have people moving from California to Texas and Florida and Tennessee and other more free states and try to implement those same policies. This is what's happened here in Colorado is we have the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which people in every state would love to have a Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, but the Democrats have so bastardized it over the years and calling things fees instead of taxes, that it's really ruining Colorado, among other things they're doing. But the 800,000 people who moved here from other states like California, they bring their politics with them, and they vote against things that back in the day made Colorado a really great state to live in.
Yeah. The voice of Laura Carno, if you're one of the thousands of earballs that hear this show later in the day, podcast, streamcast, broadcast, we do it all. Laura Carno, her organization, fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org, the locked and loaded segment with Laura Carno. Laura, Faster Colorado is working day after day to keep kids safe here in Colorado, the public school system, private school system, anywhere the kids gather. You want the kids to be safe. Talk about the good work of the fastercolorado.org organization.
Yeah, we're actually, this week we're doing our first law enforcement class that we've been talking about out in Kit Carson County. It actually started yesterday. I had to come back for a meeting last night, and so stayed here to do the Jimmy Lakey show where we have good connectivity. So I'll be heading back out there today. But I'll tell you what, getting to talk to a lot of these rural sheriff's deputies. We have a state patrolman. We've got an officer with the Department of Parks and Wildlife. And these guys are loving the training, for one, but they just don't get a lot of opportunity out in the more rural areas to get access to this good training. So we brought our instructors out there. We're using a school that's closed for spring break, and it was a really good first day yesterday.
fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. Make a couple of bucks. Laura, we always kind of pass away, say, make a donation, a couple of bucks. What does a couple of bucks do? I mean, what does that money go towards? Is it $1 a bullet? I mean, I'm just making that up, but you get the idea. How much does it cost to give a scholarship for somebody that wants to take the training?
Yeah, and that's where it comes in for the first year schools, because typically if you're a school thinking about, and again, while we're training law enforcement this week, we usually train armed school staff. But the schools that are thinking about it today, they didn't think about it last year to budget for it. So we do make scholarship money available for first year schools. And really that's where a lot of those donations go. Their first level class is $1,250. The schools are accountable for some of the cost. You mentioned bullets, they bring their ammo, their firearms, all their gear and stuff like that. But we do try to minimize the cost of that $1,250 as much as we can with donations. So that's where that goes. The other thing is we go all over the state, talking to school boards and doing public town halls and all kinds of stuff. So helps us to defray the cost of that.
Laura Carno, fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. Always appreciate. Glad you're wearing green. I don't want you to get pinched out there in Kit Carson County. People outside of the state of Colorado going, you have a county called Kit Carson County? Do you have a Jesse James County? Do you have a Wild Bill Hickok County?
We could.
We could. Yeah, Kit Carson County. That's a great place. Those outside, a lot of people know, what's the metropolis of Kit Carson County?
So Burlington is the biggest town. We're a little closer. We're in a smaller town closer to Lyman. But I'll tell you what, we had dinner on Sunday night with the sheriff of Kit Carson County, Travis Belden. Great guy. Like Steve Reams, but in a smaller county. They got some great stories of what things go on in smaller counties. I'll tell you what. But
So
great, another great sheriff out there.
If you're ever coming into Colorado through Interstate 70 from the east, you're going to go right through Kit Carson County, Burlington, just as you cross the Kansas state line. And Lyman is out there, Kit Carson County. And found any good restaurants there? For Michelin star, at least a good diner where they call you honey and sugar?
So, the instructors last night while I was gone went to Oscar's Bar and Grill, and they said it was much better than the one we went to the previous night when Oscar's was closed.
Yeah, I hate it when Oscar's is closed. It really shuts things down.
It's a steakhouse. It's a steakhouse. Yeah.
That sounds good.
So I'm going to make them go there tonight.
Yeah.
Again.
Make them do it. There's probably a Sonic and a Burger King and an Arby's there as well. So,
Arby's, Taco Bell, McDonald's. I didn't say Sonic.
And Oscars. Don't forget Oscars. No,
and Oscars,
it's still sure. I say that because these small town restaurants and diner type things and steakhouses are usually phenomenal. I love them. That's a great place to stop and eat. Yeah. For sure. If you're heading out of Colorado, don't stop at Chili's in the metro area. Get out to Oscars and go eat there. That would be very much good.
I would recommend that.
Fastercolorado.org. Be safe, Laura Carno. Be safe, Laura Carno. Don't get pinched today. Don't be pinching Laura. She's locked and loaded. She really is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, this is a man who yesterday was wandering around like Moses and the children of Israel in Egypt. Leaving Egypt. He was he was gone. I couldn't take him because that John Gordon. He was lost in the wilderness for 40 years, but his 40 years have come to pass. And ladies and gentlemen, Michael Letts is back in the promised land. Michael, welcome in, sir.
Oh, it's always good to be back in the promised land, Jimmy. Yesterday was a unique experience. I had been up since 6 doing interviews, 6 in the morning, and then I glanced at the schedule and I was excited. I saw Jimmy Lakey, and then I saw another interview at the same time. I said, "Wow, I don't know that I can divide myself into 2." And since I don't set the schedule, we had the staff call and. They didn't get back to me. I just assumed that, I think they tried to figure it out if they keep me up to you or something along those lines, but it all worked out. Everything's good, Jimmy.
It all worked out. I saw you and I said, well, go to him. But then I saw John Gordon and I said, maybe John Gordon's going to skip because he's known to sometimes have equipment problems. And so I was like, oh, there's Michael. Then I see John. And at the same time, I'm getting text messages going, Michael wants to come at 8:15 on the show. And I'm like, I can't type and do all this on the show. I'm like, I don't know. And then I finish up the interview. I'm heading towards the end. And Michael, people don't see all the big green room. They don't see where you're popping in at. Producer Chad and I get dings in our ear and codes. And Michael Letts on page 4. We get all this stuff. And I'm watching the screen going, okay, Michael's lost. Michael's spinning in circles. Michael doesn't know where he's at. Michael's drunk. No, I didn't know what's going on. And then just as we were starting the meme roulette show, part of the show that wrap it up, I saw Michael Letts pop back in the studio. And I said, we could stop the meme roulette, but I don't know what condition Mike's in. I don't know. I thought he may be lost. It could have been a butt dial. I didn't know. So I just decided we'd reschedule. Well, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I think the funny part about it was I was just along for the ride. I didn't set the schedule. So,
we'll blame Kim or Sutton. Either one. We always blame them. Blame them. Kim. That was a Kim one. All right. Very good. Michael, that's good to have you here. While we're talking about organizations, law enforcement, Laura Carter's talking about Invest USA. This is a troubled time in our world in which we have some people with Trump derangement syndrome that want to see Trump defeated, America defeated. They don't mind seeing an officer defeated, going down in a blaze of glory, injured or killed, whether it's a Homeland Security officer, an ICE officer, a local police officer. If they're enforcing the law, they get very upset right now because of their derangement syndrome. You're trying to keep officers safe and get them home safely. Talk about that real quick.
Well, as you said, Jimmy, now is the most important time in our history. because we are facing many, many threats, and now even, of course, with sleeper cells. And unfortunately, our officers don't have the necessary protection to come home safely to their families. We're determined to make sure they have that opportunity. So, plus, we want to let them know that, hey, we think that we value their service. We value their ability to want to put their lives on the line to protect us. And so, if you'll go to our website, that's investusa.org. It's a charity.org. You'll be able to make a donation and show them that we want to see them go back to their families as much as they want to see us continue to keep our families safe.
Yeah. Michael, that's my guest, investusa.org. Michael, since we've last talked, there's been a lot of terrorist attacks that have popped up here in America. We had this Old Dominion University. We had the synagogue that was driven through. Even the White House had a security breach. A lot of folks might not have heard about last week, in which a driver, the White House was locked down because a driver smashed into a security gate. How at risk are we right now for domestic attacks here in the United States with these terrorist cells? Iran has supposedly told the sleeper cells to wake up. Give me your thoughts. What are we hearing? How much danger are we in?
Well, we're in a little bit more danger than we'd like to admit, and here's the reason why, Jimmy. Yes, I've seen the communiques that Iran has tried to activate its sleeper cells. Now, here was the plan, the goal in mind, is that once we begin to move on helping Iran determine its own destiny and become a free entity, that its people would rise and take over the responsibility and basically take down the government that was there and establish free and a fair and equitable government. Well, we haven't seen the residents, they're starting, but they haven't come out in full force yet. And so you still got remnants of the old regime that are still trying to call the shots. And so initially when this happened, they were so, I think, just overwhelmed, and we decimated their leadership in such large quantity that initially they got off a few sleeper cells, which you saw in Austin, Texas, and Cincinnati, as you said, in DC and a few other places.
Yeah.
Then they kind of had a little lull for a little while because they couldn't access their money. They didn't know who was still alive and who was dead. But you're now seeing this small remnant trying to get some coordination work done. You're seeing the sleeper cells begin to activate again because there's beginning to be a little bit of flow of the money. And so we need to make sure from a federal standpoint that if there are any sleeper cells that we are aware of, which we know, remember I told you there's over 1,000 of them, Jimmy, I think the solution is very simple. They need to be eradicated. They need to be eliminated and removed from this country permanently.
Yeah. Let's talk about this partial government shutdown that's ongoing. It's been wiped off the front page of the news because Iran, and I understand that the bombs are dropping are sometimes more, I guess, interesting to watch on television than TSA lines at an airport for B-roll. You don't want that. But we have a real problem. We have almost 400 TSA agents now who have quit and said, I'm done. I can't be a political pawn here. We have Homeland Security officers right now working for absolute free. They're not getting paid. I've talked to a friend who works at the Denver International Airport. He and his crew, they work for one of the airlines. They're putting together their money and buying gift cards and lunches for the TSA agents because a lot of them don't, they're cutting back on eating lunch, but they're still coming to work knowing they get back pay, but they can't afford the lunch. And they're getting gift cards together for the TSA staff. This is a problem, and these TSA agents specifically have become pawns in a political game by Chuck Schumer. How at risk does this put us? This partial government shutdown that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are perpetrating on America. Is it just a political football, or is it national security problem?
No, it's national security problem, Jimmy, and we can very easily define that for our viewers and our listeners. If you were a criminal element, if you were a terrorist or part of a sleeper cell, when would you rather go on attack? When you think everybody's confused, there's not enough of them, people are being laid off, and people are wondering how they're going to pay the light bill instead of concentrating on what needs to be done to protect this country, that's the most ideal time to launch. And so the Democrats literally are totally disregarding the safety of the American citizen and putting their political preferences first. And I think that speaks volumes, Jimmy. I think that's the most tragic thing I could see any politician doing.
It seems as if we have a tough time in America, maybe at least covering the media, to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. We get focused on one story, whether it's Nancy Guthrie story or whether it's the war in Iran or whether it's the government shutdown. My fear is that there's absolutely not enough attention going to this government shutdown, what Chuck Schumer, the Democrats, are doing. Maybe people start paying attention that they travel because the TSA lines are getting so long. What does it take to get America to pay attention and say, hey, not passing this, not funding Department of Homeland Security is putting all of us in danger? Is it going to take a long line to the airport, or God forbid, is it going to take something tragic to happen in America to wake us up?
Well, unfortunately, Jimmy, you hit the nail on the head. Quite frankly, immediately, if you want to travel somewhere, you'll get really frustrated real fast going to the airport. That'll get your attention, and you'll be mumbling under your breath, something needs to be done about this. If we have a major terrorist attack, which quite frankly, we know that there are many of them that were planned, and they're on the drawing boards, and we don't have the resources to curtail it, that'll definitely have people talk, why in the world did this happen? How did you let this occur? But then the third thing is, why don't you just understand that that's a major possibility at this stage in our country, and let's do something about it for either one of those two get any worse. That's the key. I think we should be demanding that. Look, Democrats, you want to complain, you want to get attention, do a little jig in the street, do something else, but don't put our security at risk. Find something else to do instead of jeopardizing the lives of the American people.
Yeah. Do you know, I know we haven't heard a lot from the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, since Minnesota. I know they're still going city to city. For some reason, the left has decided that protesting and rioting wasn't helpful. Have the protesting and rioting died back because it's not in the news anymore, although the deportations continue. But along with that question, do you have any clue as to whether we're specifically trying to find these sleeper cells and get them out of our country?
Yes. Let's work our way backwards on what you said. First of all, we've already have the dossiers on these sleeper cells. You say, well, why haven't we done anything? Well, I can tell you why we had in the last administration. They wanted to be politically correct, and they certainly didn't want it to be offensive or come across that perhaps we're looking at these sleeper cells because of their religion. It has nothing to do with their religion. We've talked about that on your show before. It's all ideology. So, yes, we do have the information. Now the question becomes, do we have enough backbone to go after them? And what I'm pressing the administration for, I couldn't give you a better reason, Jimmy, than now. I mean, their big boss says, hey, time to stir up trouble. And we've still got some extra cash hidden somewhere up underneath these mountains in Iran that we can shove your way if you'll start creating havoc. So now's the time for us to move without question.
Yeah. The voice of Michael Letts, investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael, we always appreciate your time. Folks can donate, even if it's just $1 or $2, but you're giving those protective gear, the shooting gear that people need to keep law enforcement safe across America, local, national, statewide, whatever. You're trying to help people, but you can't help them unless we help you help them. Investusa.org. Did I get it right?
You got it right, and thank you so much for the opportunity to support our first responders, Jimmy. You've always been a blessing, a guardian angel to them. They know that, and they appreciate what you do, and God bless you for it, and God bless America.
Last question for you, St. Patrick's Day here. Are you wearing any green, sir, or is Mrs. Letts going to have to give you a little pension?
I believe I'm going to have a pitch because I forgot it was St. Patrick's Day. So I was reminded of it when Laura was on the line. By the way, let me raise my official objection. With Laura being on from the show, I didn't see any harassment this time around, and I really was disappointed, Jimmy. She especially since she's doing a class with law enforcement, she ought to know better than to do that. She's going to get some kind of pushback somewhere along the way.
She got a little bit sensitive, a little bit. I said, so Laura, when's the last time you got pinched? And she says, there you go again. And I said, no. Last time I got pinched was elementary school. She goes, oh, so she's kind of getting that hypersensitive thing about that. But, she
that's always so entertaining. She doesn't understand, that, it's just great entertainment. And as such, we're going to continue to expect that to be a part of the show now, Jimmy.
Listen, I promised that I was not going to talk about probing Uranus there with Laura. So we didn't do that. It's science. Science is only a science. I didn't even do that. She should thank me is what she should do. She should be thanking me.
I'll find another science question. I promise you. I'll find another one.
Well, Michael Letts and Lakey and Letts together for science. We're like Bill Nye the Science Guy, except we're actually probably more scientific than he is. Investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael Letts, look up his website. Follow him on the social. Thousands of earballs hear this show, see this show. Michael Letts, investusa.org. All right. I've got an update on Oscars. I looked it up on Son of Michael. Not that I wasn't paying attention to Michael, but I was more interested in food. And it sounds like a very delightful place that Laura Carno could be dining tonight. Stand by. I'll tell you about Oscars. But before I tell you about Oscars, can I remind you about Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com. You're in Colorado, that I-25 corridor, and you're looking to, you've been thinking about buying, selling, upsize, downsize. You got to talk to Sherry. There's this game plan. There's a strategy. There's a way to make some really good decisions. And there's some way to make some decisions. You're like, yeah, I should have made the other decision. Listen, have a strategy session with Sherry. You're going to interview realtors. Don't just assume that the realtor that sold everybody's house in your neighborhood or has a sign up in your, don't assume they're the very best for you. Your situation could be very, very different. Homeswithsherry.com. That's her website, Sherry Cree. She's on the show every Friday with us. And you can, as we talk to her, you can see it's not just about sticking the sign of the yard. It's about the whole strategy and getting you top dollar. She believes in every transaction can be something, whether you're buying or selling, that sets your family up for generational wealth if you do it the right way. And let her help you know what that way is. And she can help you know that window of opportunity, buyer's market, seller's market, what's right now. Maybe you do better to wait a couple of months. She talked to somebody I've talked to about before. She said, I think you should wait a year because the economy's the market's where you want to go is going to be different. And they did. She thought they ignored her, but then they called her in a year, said, hey, Sherry, we're ready. We took your advice. And they did. Listen, there's a strategy to it. Have that strategy session with Sherry. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. You see that Sherry Cree sign, Send a Realty in your yard. You'll be, you're going to know if you ever see that out in the neighborhood. You're going to know that is somebody who really has a strategy that takes real estate seriously. So do that. Homeswithsherry.com. Have a conversation. I-25 corridor, whether you're in, let's just name some biddy. Let's go with the letter B. Let's go with Broomfield, Boulder. I'm out. Let's go with the letter F. Fort Collins, Fort Lupton. How about Denver? We could do Denver and Daconos. That's a D name. Longmont. You get the idea. Arvada. Parker, you get the idea. The I-25 Denver metro area, a little bit north, a little bit south. She can take care of you. She was out in Eaton a couple of weeks ago, helping some folks find some property out there. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. The wonderful and illustrious Sherry Cree. Homeswithsherry.com. All right. Tell her. Yeah, you know the routine. You know from me, did the show. All right. I did some cursory research because I'm a man that helps people. You're welcome. And I looked up Oscars, and Laura mentioned two different towns in Colorado. She mentioned Burlington, and she mentioned Lyman. And if you've ever driven into Colorado on Interstate 70, you drive through there, and you're like, we're almost there, Mabel. We're almost there. It's a long haul. And so when you get to Burlington, you've crossed in from Kansas. When you get to Lyman, you're about an hour from the airport, the Denver International Airport. And when you get to the airport, you're about 5 hours from Denver. It's far away. So you get the idea. So you've gone through Burlington and Lyman if you've ever used that I-70 corridor to get here. So Oscars is in Lyman, Colorado, and I looked it up. Producer Chad, this looks like a fantastic spot. The website there on my phone, Oscars. It's Oscars Bar and Grill with an E, Grille, fancy, with a grill.com. Their dinner menu, I look at, but here's what caught my attention. 2295 9th Street in Lyman, Colorado. Open 7 days a week. That's good. They have 400 whiskeys, 100 tequilas, and 40 plus beers, and one great time. That's a lot of whiskeys and tequilas and beers for any bar, let alone in Lyman, Colorado. So it's called Oscars. Let me pull up their dinner menu because they could call us. They have a handcrafted pizza for $11.99, 4-cheese pizza for $12.99. So they got a pizza, they got a salad, sandwiches, typical bar fare. I'm looking, hold on. I'm scrolling through this first time. They have burnt ends, barbecue burnt ends. All pastas are served with garlic bread. It sounds like a great place. Oscars in Lyman, Colorado. I know nothing about them, but I have to tell you that Oscars. Now, Laura mentioned that it is a steakhouse, right? So I'm going to do a free plug here. All main attraction dinners are served with your choice of homemade. These are the main attractions. Mashed potatoes, French fries, or baked potato. Baked potato loaded is $1.99. Steaks are Black Angus, and you may add sauteed mushrooms for $1.99 or grilled onions for $1.59 to any steak dinner. Now, here's the prices. This is going to be worth the drive to Lyman, Colorado. They have the strip tease, which is a 12-ounce New York strip steak at $29.99. They have the Godfather, which is a 20-ounce porterhouse steak, Black Angus for $34.99. Top Gun steak is an 8-ounce sirloin, $21.99. The Urban Cowboys, $29.99. That's a 12-ounce ribeye. They have the St. Louis barbecue pork back ribs for $19.99 or $33 for the full rack, and then they got south of the border. It sounds like great food. They've got golden fried bubblegum shrimp, so there's good stuff. Talk of the town, a sirloin with shrimp. Anyway, Oscar's Bar and Grill. Laura mentioned it, and it's a good thing. As a matter of fact, their byline, I think, on this thing is it's the best stop between Kansas City and Denver. The number one stop between Denver and Kansas City is only steps away from I-70. It's Oscar's Bar and Grill in Pueblo. So you're welcome. If you're driving between Kansas City and Denver, I hope you've eaten before you get to Oscar's. But if you need to eat again, stop at Oscar's. That's a long drive. Kansas City to Denver is a very long drive. But yeah, Oscar's. Lyman, Colorado, it's there. Now, somebody says there's a penitentiary there. Maybe they have Uber Eats. Is the penitentiary in Lyman or Burlington? I haven't driven that way in a long time. I try not to drive anymore. All right, good to have all of you here on the show. There's your plug away for Oscar's. And if you're at Oscar's, yeah, Roger says, I think Oscar should sponsor the show, the Lakey Show. I'm open for that. I'm open for anybody to sponsor the show. Listen, I love to have more help here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday, the 17th day of March, I want to remind you again about our fundraising efforts at riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. Yesterday, I sent out an email, if you're one of the people on our email list, about our casino gala coming up. It's Saturday, May the 2nd at the Omni Interlochen Resort in Broomfield, Colorado, just right close to Boulder and Denver. I also, on that email, if you're on it, if you're coming in from out of town on the email list, there's a block of rooms held for Rivers Promise, so you can stay the night at the Omni Interlochen Resort. Stay a few nights. It's a great rate there. But the casino gala is fantastic. It's you've never seen a crooner outside of Sinatra himself like Derek Abelsizer, who does our entertainment. We have a poker tournament that starts a little bit earlier in the day, wraps up at the casino gala, casino type games, live music, fantastic food, and it's all supporting. This one was all going to support the final phase of construction of our Legacy Christian Academy K through 8 campus. We gotta get this thing built, and so we're going to do some fundraising there, but it's a great event, a great time, and it's also, I heard, Kentucky Derby Day, so if you want to wear your Derby attire or your jeans, it dresses anything you want, casual. A lot of folks wear their Vegas clothes, and you can do that as well, but it's coming up May the 2nd. You go to riverspromise.org. At the top, you'll say, check out our current events. We're going to make that larger now, but it's up there, very top bar, and you can click in and see about registering for the May the 2nd event. If you want to spot an entire table, you get 8 or 10 seats. I forgot what it was. Contact us, we'll let you know. And you get a whole table, bring your company. There's some other sponsorships that are opening up today that are not currently on the website, but individuals as well can be there as well. Riverspromise.org at riverspromise.com works as well. At the very top of the screen, you'll see our current events, or maybe a pop-up that pops up on your screen if it's working correctly, and you'll see it. That's our Vegas Casino Gala on May the 2nd. Now, I can't wait till May the 2nd to ask for your generous help today. I've told you, we've talked about the playing from behind the 8 ball that we do in January, February, and March, and with food cost and things, it's continued to be that way. And somehow the good Lord provides, but you can help the good Lord today if you could. We have a little pinch going on. I'm in constant communication, sending it as it comes in to finish out our March commitment, and then getting ready for our April commitment over there. The 20th or so is when we do one big lump trade. I've been sending money, just kind of nickel and diming it over there and trying to keep things held together. If you can make a donation today, I want to remind you what that does. I'm going to send an email out today with some faces of kids that need sponsors. You sponsor a kid, you're sitting with school, providing health insurance. It's really all about the kids. It's not about the eggs and the bread. We got to feed the kids, but there's a beautiful face that is a recipient of what you do today to help the kids. If you can help us out today with, even if you don't want to sponsor a specific kid, you can. That's on the website. You could give the equivalent of a child sponsorship, a one-time gift of $65. Maybe you want that pen pal relationship with a kid. Choose a child. If not, just $65 a month is the cost of sponsorship of a child. If food is your motivator, then it's $30 a month feed that child, to feed a child. The sponsorship includes that, but we got a lot of kids in our school. We have 20 kids in a classroom, and we got 30 seats. We just opened the classroom up and put the other 10 in. We still got to feed those kids, but we're still progressing long-term down through help the culture and help the society. I'm trying to get a trip over there here real soon, just so you can see what's happening and get a feel for it on the ground. But if you can help us out today with a donation, I'll say it again, today, right now, with a donation, any size does matter. It is a very important time for us right now. It's a stressful time for yours truly, and just trying to make sure it happens. I realize every morning that I wake up, I not just provide for my little household here and my son, but I got a lot of kids over there that we made promises to. And again, education is the ladder that these kids will use to climb from the pit of poverty. So there's a face behind every dollar that receives that dollar, and is really just, they're beautiful children, and they would love to have your support. And they can do that today, riverspromise.org. So many of you sponsor kids. Thank you for that. You do your part. I appreciate that. If you want to do more, feel free. But if you can't, hey, some of you that don't sponsor regularly, make that donation today, riverspromise.org. I'll give you a report back on how we did. All right, a couple of comments on the Oscars thing. Jimmy and Cruz doing the show for a week from Oscars as they taste test all the whiskeys and tequilas. We might need a driver. Jeff says his Oscars open for breakfast. I drive through Kansas in the dark. I do have to find everything out for you, Jeff. Could you look that up on your own? They are open from 11:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. Yeah, there may be a Denny's out there, but the Oscars is not. They're on 9th Street, the number one stop between Denver and Kansas City. That's good. Well, they closed all the rest stops, so you. I don't know how you measure that. The number one stop between Denver and Kansas City, but it looks like a great place. Oscars in Lyman. Who knew it? I don't know if I've ever been to that part of Lyman. Well, I don't know what part of Lyman it is. I've taken Lyman, you get a gas break. You fill up with gasoline before you head into the wilderness, right? That's what you do in Lyman if you're heading east out of Denver. Lyman. Yeah. Anyway. It's great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to wrap up the program for the day. Don't forget those donations, riverspromise.org. We do appreciate you participating in our charity efforts. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I meant to talk more about St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't. Had other things going on in my life on the show. Until we meet again tomorrow morning, I mean this, may God bless you, may God bless America. Oh, hang on, we got to do the memes. Stop the show. Stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta do the stolen memes. What are we thinking here? Oh, yes, I know you're all screaming. I was just making sure you're awake. Ladies and gentlemen, stolen meme section of the show. I was so distracted by the food. The food distracts a boy like me. Here we go. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here we go. The fastest things on earth. The cheetah. The airplane. There they are. The speed of light. Politicians using a tragedy to go after your rights. Yeah, there you have it. That's so true. Nothing moves faster than a politician willing to rape you of your God-given rights. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I'm so glad I was taught how to play the recorder in school. It's really come in handy during my adult life. I've lost a number of times. I've resolved a difficult situation with a quick blast of hot cross buns. When my son got a recorder, I'm not going to lie, like second grades, I want to you buy the recorder for the kids to learn a music class. I'm going to not lie. I grabbed the recorder, said, sounded like a birthday party horn. You know what I did? Delilah, you'd be proud of me. I put the recorder up and I played Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, just like I remember it. And it's first or second grade, my son was quite impressed. Daddy, you know how to play the recorder. And I said, yes, son. And occasionally I could wiggle a finger like that. He was pretty impressed. He asked if I knew any other songs, and I said, well, you got to learn some more. I could still play to this day, Delilah. If we had a recorder, don't you tell me you don't have a recorder. Okay, good. If we had a recorder right here in the studio, I could play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. No, maybe it was Mary Had a Little Lamb. It's one of those songs. I'd have to play it, and then I know. It's all muscle memory. Maybe I played Mary Had a Little Lamb. Are they the same song? Now that Mary Had Twinkle. That's different. Okay, I could play one of those. I'm just not sure which one it was. Give me a recorder and I'll figure it out. Enough of that. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I love this. This is true. This is from How History Looks. The Prince of Persia during the 19th century. See the one on the bottom there sitting down? That's the Princess of Persia. Back in the 19th century, mustaches on women symbolized beauty. Sheesh. Times have changed, thank the Lord. Yeah. Just so if you're a woman, other the mustache doesn't symbolize that anymore. You should get rid of that. Round around the, I'm just helping. Beauty secrets. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the views from no one know. Hey, millennials and Zoomers who are dealing with your first bout of World War III panic. Just find yourself one of us Gen Xers to be a friend. We spent the entirety of our childhoods prepping for nuclear war alone while eating Pop-Tarts cold from the foil. We got you. Yeah, people, it's going to be a war. It's going to be so. Listen, we were told to sit in the hallway and get in the disaster position under our desk or hold a book over our head. And by the way, there was always pizza for lunch. That's suck it up. It's going to be fine. So if you're millennial and Zoomer and you're panicking out there, talk to one of us. We'll tell you it's going to be all right. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Remember how we got here. This is true story, lesson in history for all of you people living in your mother's basement. How we got here. Hillary supplied Iran the uranium they needed to enrich their nuclear programs. True story under the Obama administration. Obama, she was Secretary of State. Obama gave Iran $1.7 billion to fund their nuclear program. And then Biden came along while he was crapping his pants and unfroze another $16 billion in funds for Iran. So I'd like you to not blame Trump on this one. Iran's been a problem for 47 years, but it got worse when Hillary gave them the uranium to enrich their nuclear programs. True story. Biden gave $1.7 billion to try to get the death cult to shut up. And then Biden said, it's not fair that we have your bank funds frozen in a bank here. We should unfreeze them. $16 billion went. And the rest is history. Now we're picking them off one by one. Adios, amigo. Hasta la vista. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. All of the poop in the world who decided, let me read this again. All of the poop in the world who decided that bat poop was the craziest. Okay. I missed it. I forgot the word of. Of all the, reading is not my skill at this time of morning. Of all the poop in the world, who decided that bat crap was the craziest of the craps? That's a great question. You know, bat crap crazy. You don't say dog crap crazy. Well, because bats have COVID. And the bats have COVID, and they also, I don't know, they're crazy. Jeff says mustaches. That explains the fascination with goats. Whoa, Jeff. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. There we are. A short film section of the show, but we got a very, very, very well done today. We didn't have any cat memes. We didn't have that cheetah at the front, but no other cat memes. Or couples. Evidently, producer Chad worked out his couples issues yesterday because we didn't have any couples memes yesterday. It was the thought bubbles I was having a tough time keeping up with. Shoot, you saw I just did good to read a whole sentence, let alone thought bubbles. Which way do we go? Left, right, down, up, right? I don't know. All right, can we end the show now? Can we end it? Ladies and gentlemen, let's blow this popsicle stand and call it good and plan to convene again tomorrow. It goes to Oscars today. Let me know. We want a full report. We're going to get a culinary take from Laura Carno, maybe. Find out how it goes. Hey, tomorrow's hump day, halfway to Friday. In the meantime, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. May God bless you. May God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here. Have a great day.